Welcome back to the second episode of this Devblog, entirely based on first principles and no experience whatsoever. This is about a week and a bit's worth of work. So last time I showed a bunch of cubes moving around. Here it's a bit more busy. So from the left we've got myself. There I go. Down here I've got some sort of enemy. I wouldn't really call them that. That's not my intention for them, I suppose. I've called it a denizen in the files actually. And well, I only had one sprite lying around, so they look exactly the same as me, just for confusion. And I'm also over here. This is my first attempt at animation, because I've left them there for a few days actually. I went on a train and did some of this whilst I'm there. And animating with a laptop sitting on a train is the worst place to do that, so I've just left them there over the past few days, over the crest of the hill, asking lots of different people. The interpretation of what they're doing is different every time. I quite like that. So the ideas I had for this episode were either to break everything down into its constituent parts and only show off one bit at a time. So take a concept and create a scene around that and then show that off. But I decided let's just show off where I'm at as it stands, what I've been looking at. I haven't even bothered to clean up. This is what I've been looking at for a while now. So, and then future episodes I can look at all sorts of bits, because there's more to this than meets the eye, literally, because there's things here that you can't even see that I've done, and the reasons for that will become clear when I create a video on them. So for now, I'm going to just cherry pick different bits. I'm going to look at the art, because it's the most striking difference from last time, and the improvements I've made to the ice, I suppose, because that builds on last time and shows a sense of progression, and then I can look at the other stuff later. So first of all, this sprite here, these sprites here, all of these sprites here are all the first thing I tried to draw, basically. They are, well, I'll show a slightly larger version. Here it is, person .svg scalable vector graphics. Right, how did I draw this person then? So I read a tutorial, and there was also all this stuff about creating shapes and then creating an offset, slightly shadowy shape for the shadows and such. So I followed that quite well, but you can see the legs here sort of this really odd direction, and they've got a thumb, I'm not sure why. Some thoughts behind the design then. So my idea for this was, we've got a person who has control over fire for some reason in some sort of snowy climate. So I thought, okay, they don't really know why they're there necessarily. So however they were put there and whatever they're wearing should be based on a sort of outside perspective on the most practical outfit. So it's kind of a free and easy, free-flowing tunic. Many people have said dress. It's not a dress, but maybe that doesn't matter. The other part is it's like, why not go for some sort of dystopia setting for why they're up there, but with like it's in the future, so there's all sorts of seemingly anachronistic stuff all over the place. Because I want the domiciles that'll be around to be quite warm, so they need to be full of like quite modern conveniences and things like that. Well, sort of like up-to-date manufacturing processes, sort of. So I'm sort of following on the kind of blending of race that would apparently happen over time, and everyone looks kind of Mediterranean. So this is my attempt at doing olive skin. It's tragic. I couldn't do it because olive skin turns out isn't really olive coloured. I don't really know what colour it's supposed to be. I tried to make it darker and then not too dark and then lighter and then greener. And this is what I've got at the moment. I'll think about it. I'll work on it later, but that was a pain for a while to actually try and do that. But anyway, the shading exists and that's quite fun. The tunic is teal because I think it might show up quite nicely against the warm environments and the snowy environments, as long as I don't make them too blue, which is an option. But I think it would stand out quite well against both of those things, and teal's a fairly nice colour. Quite a almost primary, but not quite colour for a primary character. They are non-gender specific by design, and I haven't done the hair yet because I had a tab open of Google Images for androgynous haircuts for ages, and it didn't lend me anything because I can't draw hair. I haven't actually tried, but I'll think about that later, because once I've drawn the hair, then I'll have an actual person and I can start doing the animation. And once I've done the animation, I can't really go back. I'm kind of locked into what I'm doing there, so I'm putting it off as much as I can, because I can do everything else without it. That should really be the last thing to go, but it's just such... It changes everything about the feel, so it would be really nice to do. So this guide that I found online was good. I mean, it was a whole bunch of stuff that I couldn't do myself, but it suggested things like putting the palette all out. So I've gone for a very limited number of colours, of just a few different shades, and I think that would suit it well if I could get a unified colour scheme, because at the moment there's like this weird mass down here that I just grabbed from somewhere and stretched out for the floor is doing something odd. The mountains look alright, the flooring and stuff might look alright once it's not used for the walls and the ceiling as well. There's a dense, in every sense of the word, mass of black, which is my stove, but eventually I'll work out how to do that. That was when I gave up trying to draw things properly. So going back to that, yeah, for the animation, for instance, I've broken them down into something that looks like these. You can see, like, I had to make the leg an actual leg rather than this. It's quite nice. I've given them carbs, which is good. I haven't managed to give them respectable feet. This goes below the edge of the platform, and I can't work out how to put it upright so that they're both on the level. I looked at like Mega Man sprites and stuff, and his legs and feet are just splayed out. It's really awkward. There's lots of braid sprites, and the little guy in braid has his feet in a line, and he's got shadows on the inside of each leg, and I'm like, oh, this wasn't what I was going for. I wanted like a nice little pose, but it doesn't work on this 2D platform. So I had a whole thought, oh, I could like make this 3D in some sort of ways, but it just wouldn't work. It isn't what I'm going for. So I decided against it. The wood and such, again, is like me. Am I just making things hard for myself? I started off with like when you look at panels from the side, and they're quite well manufactured. They've got this groove down the side, so you can slot them all together, and so you end up with a duplicated sprite that doesn't necessarily look too duplicated because it's all slotted together, but it does mean that the ends are harder to pull off, and maybe it doesn't look as neat as it should. I don't know. Again, maybe it'll look alright once it's being used for its intended purpose. This pipe was quite hard to do because I had to work out how. I had a lot of reference points for how to make a cylinder, or in this case kind of octagonal shape, and then smushing them together into a corner was pretty difficult, but it's a nice warm copper coloured. Maybe certain parts of it need exaggerating. I don't know, maybe, in order to make it look more like what it should. And the mountains are... Well, there's only one mountain actually. This mountain flipped and scaled down a bit, but it looks alright. I don't know if there's anything more I need to add to that. Probably, because it's a massive amount of flat surface, but if it's just in the background and there's lots of interesting things in front, maybe it'll look alright. At the moment, I don't know how to treat this artwork as like alpha art, or... Ooh, this is disorientating. As alpha artwork, like what stage, whether to sort of stick with it. It's really complicated. I don't know what I'm doing as far as that goes at all. So I'll work on it, and suggestions for what direction I should go would be very welcome, because it's my least strong point. So that's that for now on the art side of things. So the ice again is just this weird flat mesh texture. Kind of looks like it's taking in some of the light a bit. I don't really know, but I fixed that up a bit. So before it was how did it work? It was a collision, that was it. So it was only when I collided with the ice that it would actually start to melt, and that meant that you had to be touching it. You couldn't stand a little bit away and allow your aura to have an impact, which doesn't feel quite right to me. So I changed that up entirely. So now as you approach it, it starts melting away, which is a bit nicer. Like maybe it isn't as smooth as it necessarily should be. I fell off the edge of the. I fell off the edge and I stuck to the ice because my ore is picking up too many points, and it's picking up a point that's. I'm not entirely sure what it's actually doing here. This situation should never actually happen. I forgot I put the ice slightly off the edge there. Anyway, that's what the ice does now. It's pretty cool. Yeah. If I grab some, I can change like the distance it takes before it starts melting. Yes. So I increase it, and now I've fallen through. Flawless, as you can see. So that's great. And pause that a sec. The script for that then is this now in this heat handler class, which takes an interface of a variable heater, which means that different things can have heat sources, and they can have a variety of different heat levels of heat source, which affects the ice in different ways. So that's the radius around them before it will start melting the ice. Of course, it can't quite use a radius, because if I centered it on the person like this, then it would be a circle around them, which means that it would melt ice closer from their head than their body. Their body would be out here, where their head would be here, because that's how a circle looks. And these are all humanoid. So what I've done instead is I've learnt how raycasts work, and I've done that instead. Especially these circle casts. There's also box casts. So what this does is it takes the radius, which is the person. It's sort of the radius actually starts like here, like the same distance up from their feet as they are far away from their side. So this is like equidistant from the sides and the base. That's where the origin is. No, sorry. The radius is up to the sides. The origin is what I just said there. Yes, and the distance that it travels is up to the equivalent point up their bodies, so up to here. And then this whoop, open the wrong thing. There's a circle cast here. What that does is it starts at the origin. It takes the radius. It then has a direction, which I didn't understand for ages. Why is this circle wanting a direction? A 2D circle? And the distance that it travels in that direction. And then everything that it hits while it travels in that direction, it will affect based on a certain mask. In this case, I've got a layer that's called melting. That's anything that melts, is such as ice, goes in there. And then this actually sends a message to the object itself and says, "Oi, call the melt method," which is quite fun. I didn't realise it could do that for a while. I was wondering, how do I get these to talk to each other? But it's fairly simple, really. The interesting effect that has is that if I've got ice that's going up a wall, see if I can create this on the fly. I don't know why this is up here. Let's grab that. Grab this section here. All of these sprites are individual sprites. We'll get to that. Maybe. And I move that like here, and I throw myself down and do this. You'll see it travels from the bottom upwards. It's very quick. It's quite subtle. If there's a lot of ice, it takes ages to change all the points, and that's quite slow. It kind of slowly updates itself up the wall, so that's quite interesting. Don't know if that. I think that's worthwhile dealing with. I still need to play around it some more, but that's how it looks at the moment. It's not too bad, I don't think. And yeah, obviously I managed to get the ice to work with different rotations and stuff. So if the off shot of that is that all of the walls are floors rotated 90 degrees or 270 degrees, and the ceilings are 180 degrees, and that way the ice works each way each time. It's not going to like fall off the bottom of the sprite object like this. I'm going to like create a tidier way of doing it, but that's how it works. I think that's alright. It does mean I need to do that throughout, but since rotation is so simple in this engine, I don't think it'll be a massive problem. And I don't think it is any extra computation. So there you go. This isn't what I've got so far. This is a tiny snippet of what I've got so far, and I'm going to have to increase the number of updates I do because I've done too much. So thank you for joining me for this brief update. Expect some more very shortly.